People buying and selling shares in the companies to the American Stock Exchange. Big leading corporations and young, vital, growing companies. These securities represent the money invested in industry to buy the tools and build the plants. It is through these capital is producing goods for the world, earning profits, and paying dividends is the marketplace, the American Stock Exchange. This is our visitors' gallery, where investors, students, and sightseers visit us each business day. Visitors can actually feel the hectic pace of the trading operation. Skilled personnel provide clear-cut answers to every question. This man is speaking. Down here, it's not only polite to talk with your hands, it's downright essential. He doesn't speak, nor does he write, yet what you see here is the report of a purchase of stock that he's just completed, acting for a client who may be thousands of miles away, handling a stock transaction that could be millions of dollars. To these men moving busily among the trading posts, it is perhaps just another day. But to me, this is a very big day indeed, one of the most important days in my life. And here I am, Tom Gordon, the newest member of the brokerage firm of Gordon and McCabe. Although I now have a regular membership of this exchange, that is, I now have a seat on this exchange, I'm still a novice, and will be until the Board of Governors and its Committee on Floor Transactions decide I've acquired the experience necessary to execute an order on my own.
Hi, Dad. Morning, son.
Tom, welcome to the floor.
Thank you.
Yes? Right. Quote CMF for Denver.
Okay. That's probably Fred Sandberg. He requested information on some stock. We sent it along to him last week.
Well, CMF closed yesterday at 25.5.
It's not bad for an apprentice. Son, it's always a good sign when a customer asks for up-to-date information about a stock. It shows he's going about investing in the right way. And we always encourage our customers to investigate before buying the stock. They should know about the company, its present setup, future potential. All member firms are always eager to give investors such information to help them decide whether or not to buy stock in any given company traded on the exchange.
Well, do you think this man in Denver will buy CMF?
Let's wait and see. Our firm's research and statistical facilities are always at his disposal. Our Denver friend is wise. He's investigating before he invests. Let's go over to the CMF trading post.
Good. The exchange is laid out something like a supermarket. Each stock is traded at a particular trading post, like the meat counter or the fruit counter. CMF is the symbol for Continental Manufacturing Corporation. Anyone wishing to buy or sell this stock must do so here.
How's CMF?
25.5 bid, offered at 3/4, last sale a half.
This means that there is someone willing to buy at $25.50 a share, and someone willing to sell at $25.75 a share, and that the last buyer paid $25.50 per share.
The man in Denver will have that information within 1 minute.
Good morning, Jim.
Come on, Charlie Wilson. Hello, Charlie. How are you?
I just came over to meet the newest member of your firm.
Charlie Wilson, my son Tom.
How do you do?
Fine-looking lad. If you do half as well as your old man, you'll be fine.
Old man, look who's talking. No one knows how long you've been around here.
Now, Jim, there's some things a man just has to keep to himself.
Yes, I know.
And never mind that old-timer stuff. I want to talk to your boy. Well, Tom, what do you think of all this?
It's very, very impressive. The securities of over 800 companies are traded here. Securities worth about $25 billion. But it wasn't always like this.
Indeed it wasn't.
I guess things have really changed around here since you were a newcomer.
You make me sound like a 49er, an 1849er.
Well, from what I've read, those days must have been very exciting.
No doubt about it. Days of the gold rush, the thrill of finding gold and opening new territory, and the excitement of building a continent. The wonderful opportunity of investing in the strength and growth of the new nation and sharing in the future potential of American industry and commerce. The curbstones of New York City provided a birthplace, a name, and a home for the old outdoor curb market where securities trading was actually carried on in the streets and on the curbs of downtown Manhattan. Here under the open skies, where big new industries requiring mass capital were beginning to seek public favor, the curb market provided a clear reflection of the increasing importance of the corporate form of ownership. Like all the great marketplaces down through the ages, this market, later known as the New York Curb Exchange, found its humble beginnings in the streets. I'll bet they never guessed it would grow into the American Stock Exchange of today. Actually, Tom, the first brokers were a few men who used to meet informally to buy and sell securities they themselves owned. Pretty soon it became a daily gathering, the same men meeting in the same place. Then friends of these men, people who were too busy at other work to meet here, had these men trade their securities too. By 1875, the curb market had become a very important part of New York life. Finally, the lack of space on Wall Street forced these brokers to change their meeting place to William Street between Exchange Place and Beaver Street.
When they outgrew William Street, they moved to Broad Street, about 1900, wasn't it?
I don't remember personally, Tom, but it was in the late 90s. Later, it located in front of 44 Broad Street. By that time, regular trading hours had been established. These brokers met here in all kinds of weather. Bright summer days, cold winter days, rainy spring days, gathering around the trading posts where the various stocks were traded. In these days, of course, there were no trading posts as we know them today. Instead, a trading post might be a mailbox, or a certain doorway, or a fire hydrant. Here, too, the market was experiencing its first real growing pains. The market was big now, the street busy with men handling millions of dollars worth of securities. Anyone could come along the sidewalk and set himself up as a broker. Of course, any agreement to buy or sell depended entirely upon the personal integrity of the individual you did business with. But it soon became necessary to establish some sort of membership as a guarantee of sincerity and efficiency. So in 1908, a small group of the leading brokers formed the New York Curb Agency. By 1911, it had evolved into the New York Curb Market Association, whose board of representatives drew up trading rules and methods for enforcing them. Memberships were limited to 500, and a listing department was established to admit the securities of qualified corporations to trading and to keep records on file for the public to examine. But these were the problems of a general nature. The problems of the individual brokers were even more immediate. When a broker completed a transaction, he had to notify his office. Using messenger boys was not satisfactory because the boys often could not find the broker in the crowd. He could not use a telephone unless he had one installed inside the door of a nearby building. Even that took too long.
I've got it.
What do you mean? Got what?
I've got the answer to this. I'll call you back. Well, I'll be down there. So we can talk back and forth.
When do you want the room? Sounds like a crazy idea, but if you want it, it's okay with me.
You mean that's how that began?
Yes, that's my understanding of how it actually began. But the important thing is that telephone order clerks began appearing in the windows overlooking Broad Street. Although this solved one problem by connecting the broker on the street directly with his office, still all these boys and all these windows also created another one. It was almost impossible to exchange information with your own telephone clerk when all the other brokers and clerks were shouting at the same time.
What? What? How much just sold? 4. What? Higher. What? What? 40,000. I can't hear you.
Oh, I know what happened then. They invented hand signals,
Exactly.
the same ones that we use today on the gigantic trading floor of the American Stock Exchange.
Okay, all right. I bought 100.
The broker is trying to report the purchase at $20 per share of 100 shares in a steamship company.
That's right, 100. And 20. And 20. 20. Steamboat, steamboat. What? Steamboat, steamboat. Steamboat. I said bought, not sold. Steamboat, yeah.
These hand signals were used with great accuracy. However, there was still another obstacle to overcome. Telephone clerks found it almost impossible to locate their brokers in the crowded street. But an alert broker solved that problem by wearing a dual-purpose hat. A hat that could shelter his head from the elements and also stand out in the crowd as a beacon and a means of identification. Pretty soon, other brokers got the idea of wearing colorful hats. Some very unusual-looking hats began to appear. Later, some very colorful outfits, too. Meanwhile, the curb market became one of the sights for any visitor to New York. To many of the tourists, the exchange looked like unplanned madness as brokers dashed to and fro, calling and gesticulating. Hectic as it all was, this system of trading had developed through the years until its accuracy and speed of operation were remarkable. Outdoor trading here hit its peak between 1900 and 1921, and public interest in securities grew steadily. New stock issues of powerful industries had whetted that interest and were keeping it keen year after year. This market not only kept pace with the nation's industrial and mercantile growth, but actually provided a certain leadership and direction. This became the marketplace for industrial leaders and the seasoning ground for the stock issues of new organizations, which were later to take their places as leaders in our economy. Here, through an authentic public auction, where the public could set the price, securities of every industrial category were bought and sold. During World War I, it was in Broad Street that so many of the companies that were to help win the war were financed. Here, the steel stocks, munition stocks, copper stocks, marine and other stocks were traded. This started these young corporations on their way to becoming the powerful industries of today. And as the companies grew, also did the outdoor market grow. Brokers felt a need for improved systems of trading and delivering of and payment for securities, and for tighter supervision. In 1921, the exchange moved indoors where more formalized procedures could be established. However, in moving, everyone felt it was very important that the same efficient setup be preserved. Today, the exchange still provides the same clear lines of vision for the broker and the telephone order clerk, so that the hand signal can still be used effectively.
Well, of course, another big reason for moving indoors was because of the need for instantaneous reporting of transactions. In other words, the stock ticker. When the brokers met on the street, it was impossible to inform the public immediately of the prices at any given moment. With the ticker, each sale is printed everywhere within seconds after the transaction has been completed on this floor. In this way, a man thousands of miles away knows immediately what is happening in the market. I'll take Mr. Sanborn in Denver, for example. He's already received all the statistical information available on Continental Manufacturing Corporation. He continues to follow the activity of the market on the ticker in the firm's branch office in Denver. So he knows all the facts.
Mr. Sanborn, I have that quotation on Continental Manufacturing. 25.5 bid, offered 25 3/4, last sale 25.5.
Buy 100 shares for my account at 25 3/4.
I'll place it in New York. Send this buy order.
Ed, take an order from Denver to buy 100 CMF at 25 3/4.
Buy 100 CMF at 25 3/4. Okay.
There's a number on the annunciator board assigned to each member of the exchange. It is used by the telephone clerks to gain the broker's attention. Oh, Dad.
Let's come back on that quote. How's CMF?
25.5 offered at 3/4.
25 3/4 for 100 CMF.
Sold.
The transaction has been completed, and for this service, the brokerage firm has earned a commission. A commission charged to the customer at a rate previously published and made known to the customer. As the office is relaying the report of the purchase back to Mr. Sanborn in Denver, a floor reporter is noting the sale. Employed by the exchange for the purpose of recording all transactions as they are made, this reporter now hands his written memorandum to a page, who sends it through the pneumatic tube direct to the ticker operator. Within a matter of seconds, it is printed on the ticker. Thus, a public report is made of the purchase of 100 Continental Manufacturing Corporation common shares at $25.75 a share. And this information is immediately seen on ticker tapes throughout the United States and Canada. Information is important here. It must be delivered quickly. The whole picture must be complete. On the floor of the American Stock Exchange, for example, the broker can tell at a glance what is happening on the Toronto Stock Exchange on the right-hand screen, and on the New York Stock Exchange on the lower screen, and on the American Stock Exchange on the upper screen. These three markets are considered to reflect the basic trends. Meanwhile, the ticker of the American Stock Exchange is being viewed in 1,000 locations. Information is available in almost 2,000 branch offices of member firms to aid investors in analyzing the potential of the many established corporations and growth companies whose shares are traded on the American Stock Exchange, where over 300 seasoned companies have paid dividends for between 10 and nearly 110 consecutive years, and where they can watch the small industries of today become the giants of tomorrow, where they are able to show the same imagination and faith as was shown by the people years ago who foresaw the development of small workshops into the humming plants and factories of today. The American Stock Exchange, which provides trading facilities for approximately 150 stock issues representing a dozen foreign countries, is the top-ranking market for foreign stocks in the United States. Stocks and bonds covering 20 foreign countries are traded on this exchange. What of the future? What can the investor look forward to in this marketplace? In this building, a nerve center of investor service, where direct, exacting, lightning-fast communications are maintained with nearly 2,000 member firm offices in 461 cities, here and throughout the world, the future is being molded. A future which is attracting interest from all over the world. The American Stock Exchange is an important part of the story of a nation which has grown great and strong through the savings of millions channeled into productive enterprise through securities investment. It is to the service of the investor and industry, to the growth of a sound economy, that the exchange is dedicated.